We're breaking down all the big winners from Tuesday night's election, Mike Bost, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and what the turnout says about what you can expect in November, all this morning.
A bridge over troubled water. Why the McDonald Bridge will be closed for the next 10 months.
Quiet overall today and not as warm, but the weather's not going to impact our plans for at least a few days, maybe Friday, when there's more of a major impact and what that means for our cooler air and rain chances ahead.
This week, many will bet on their brackets. Sydney Stallworth is joining us with a look at just how much money legal sports betting has made for Illinois.
When you absolutely hit the bottom of your road and there's no other way out, you're going to change.
From addiction to freedom, the entrepreneur in Lou sharing his journey to inspire others.
This is Today in St. Louis, focused on you.
I'm going to say, Mr. Gary Frank, do not look at this.
Oh.
It'll make you start sneezing right now. Look at the gorgeous flowers in Forest Park. I mean, our weather has turned and the flowers start to blossom and come on out. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, March the 20th. I'm Rennie Nutt.
And I'm Michelle Lee. We just want to say thanks for joining us, including those of you who might be catching us on 5 Plus or maybe YouTube, wherever you're catching us. So great to see Paul Cook and Gary Frank.
Yeah, good morning.
Good
What's
morning.
going on?
Yeah.
Quiet day. It was warm and windy. You know, that's not exactly allergy friendly. But, you know, overall, the next few days, not all that bad. Less windy today. I think it's still going to feel pretty nice. It's just, you know, it was a little breezy yesterday. So
Yeah, it was.
that was a big story for us. Overall, the next few days, we're going to see decent conditions. And it's not all that cold, but it's something a light jacket's not going to be out of the question for, because as we're pretty close to average, you see everybody moving smoothly. I like to look at this one in Edwardsville because you have the trees and you have the flags, and they're both showing not much movement for once, and that's a big difference from yesterday. Clouds off to our northwest, settling in, but temps in the low to mid 40s. Once again, always like to look at the flag in the distance. It's 44. The wind is calm. First time we've seen that. It's going to switch out of the north, which kind of bottoms our temperatures out in the low 40s by 8 o'clock, but we're 51 by noon. And yesterday's gusts between 30 and 40, pretty different today. Mid 50s and then cooler conditions, ups and downs. A lot of them ahead, but I think it's overall, Paul, driving conditions much better than they were yesterday, where the cars were moving around. Even my car moving around because of that wind.
Absolutely. You wouldn't think, you know, that's the deal with this big, heavy car, but definitely windy. It could affect you. And we've had a few accidents here this morning. 70 at 79 going eastbound. So we are in St. Peter's here, and one of our cameras was showing a lot of the flashing lights in the delay. It does look to be a little bit better here. St. Peter's, Mid-Rivers Mall Drive at 70. That's the one you're looking at right now. And then a little bit further to the west, also 6440 at 70. So Lake St. Louis just to the east, you are very slow. We take the map here, helping you spot check your highway, and you'll see you're moving very well. Downtown Bridges, really nice. We'll talk about construction for that area coming up in just a few minutes.
This morning, the Illinois 2024 primary ballots have been tallied.
Yeah, so let's dive right into what voters decided. Now, the presidential results really aren't a surprise to either party. Former President Donald Trump easily took the GOP presidential primary, beating out Nikki Haley, who came in a distant second there with 14%. And President Joe Biden easily won the Democratic Party for president in Illinois. The turnout from the remaining primaries will help both campaigns determine where to focus their efforts ahead of November.
The U.S. House race in Illinois in the 12th district was very tight. The district covers St. Clair, Jefferson, and Monroe counties, plus parts of Madison County. New this morning, we can confirm, one more time, Carbondale attorney Brian Roberts won the Democratic primary over Libertarian Preston Nelson. The race for the Republican nomination was much closer. You could see the incumbent, Mike Bost, came out only a few points ahead of his challenger and former state senator, Darren Bailey.
Well, this morning, our Megan Kernan is in Belleville with reaction on the top 2 races in this primary. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning, Michelle. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump were the top 2 vote getters from each party, both winning the Illinois primaries. Now, the other closely watched race was for the 12th congressional district. Now, Congressman Mike Bost beat out Darren Bailey. It was a close race with a definitive split, the west side of the district going to Bost and the east going to Bailey. Bost has held the Illinois 12th congressional district seat since 2015 and has been in politics for decades. Even though Bost had not heard from him when he gave his victory speech, Darren Bailey conceded by the end of the evening.
I want to make sure that this nation advances, that we stop the fighting. We work together as Republicans. I'm a big believer in Ronald Reagan when he used to say, you know what, if you're 80% with me, you're my friend.
Let's not give up. Let's start educating ourselves and finding out how our elected officials are voting, and let's hold them accountable, because our children, our grandchildren, our nation, and our state, it depends on it.
Now, across the river in Missouri, the upcoming primary election is on August 6th, and the general municipal election is on April 2nd. Live in downtown Belleville, Megan Kernan, 5 on your side.
Thanks so much, Megan. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, took an even closer look at the results to see how Bost and Bailey fared in their home counties.
Mike Bost escapes Tuesday night's election with a win, returning to Congress likely for a 6th consecutive term, but the turnout probably gave him a bit of a scare. Turnout was so low, but the map is what saved him. We told you before the election would end, this area was all of Mike Bost's old territory. And, well, you see there, about 65% of all the votes that were available ended up giving Mike Bost. I mean, the only surprise that you see in any of this is right here in Marion County. But look down here in Williamson County. Matt Gaetz, the Florida congressman, came here to rally with Darren Bailey. You might be able to say it backfired, kind of like Mike Bost said it would. 70% of the people there still voted for Mike Bost. Darren Bailey just didn't have enough. He didn't get over near Metro East, couldn't pull it off. There's a look at the turnout. Let's give you one more look at just how low the voter participation was overall. If we go to the totals here, and go to the presidential election, this is 2024's results. Let's go to 2016 and look at St. Clair County. 28,000 votes just 8 years ago when a presidential, and this is just the Republican side, 28,000 votes back then. If you go all the way back now to the same county, look at that, just 6,000 votes. Terrible turnout. We've got to get more voters out to the polls to get more engaged, but there you see the results, a bit of a breakdown at how Mike Bost survived a challenge from Darren Bailey.
In the Illinois 13th Congressional District, incumbent Nikki Pazinski had a quieter Tuesday. She's running unopposed. The district includes some of our areas like Macoupin and parts of St. Clair and Madison counties. This morning, we know she'll face former Army veteran turned entrepreneur Joshua Lloyd. He topped law student Thomas Clatterbrock by more than 10 points. Right now, all of the Illinois primary results are scrolling at the bottom of your screen. You can also find them at kck.com/elections, or you could text the word results to 314-425-5355, and we will send you a link.
Well, just 3 hours from now, crews will close the JS McDonald Bridge in Hazelwood. Over the next 10 months, MoDOT will demolish the bridge, which runs over Coldwater Creek. That will give the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers access to the creek to remove the 6,000 truckloads of soil contaminated by radioactive waste from the first atomic bomb.
We are looking at the majority of McDonald Boulevard adjacent to the St. Louis Airport site, the original storage site, which is why it is so contaminated underneath there. And we're looking around 40 to 60,000 cubic yards of contaminated material to be taken off-site for disposal.
15,000 drivers use the McDonald Bridge every day. Until a new bridge is built, drivers can take the detour on Banshee Road.
6:09, your weather first forecast so far this morning. As we look at St. Charles, it's quiet, it's dark, it's early, but the wind is calm. What a difference a day makes in regards to that. Now, the weather's not going to impact your plans today or really tomorrow as well. It will be cooler tomorrow, and there may be a few spots that are at least briefly impacted, but that's on the very low end of the spectrum for tomorrow. But I think over the next few days, we're going to see a lot of ups and downs temperature-wise. As we already look ahead, you can see that hint of the sun. I think this is going to be a nice sunrise just because of the nature of the the either lack of cloud cover or just some of the clouds are very thin and high, with temps at 44 degrees. There's no wind chill today. There's no significant wind. It will switch out of the north later on today. And, over the next few days, we're going to see some ups and downs. So we start off at 41. We're going to see temps back in the low 50s by noon, and it's really not bad by 4 o'clock as you head home. That's where we should be this time of the year. But coming up in a few minutes, we'll talk about where we've been over the first 19 days, where we rank above average, and why we're going to see changes between above average and below average readings as we head into the next 7 days.
Avoiding a spring break outbreak. The CDC's new measles guidelines for travelers.
Do you prefer the office pool, or are you filling out your bracket on the books? A look at sports betting in the bi-state as we approach the first round of March Madness.
Are you thinking of a career change? The event supporting women interested in construction.